Dajiahao, as they say in China. Thanks for checking out the video. And to start off, of course, this is not financial advice, just for entertainment purposes. And full disclosure, I am not a expert at trading. I'm not a technical analysis guy, but I've spent a lot of the last 3 years studying the cryptocurrency charts. And so the other day, I listened to the recent debate, air quote, between Anthony Pompliano and Peter Schiff, Mr. Bitcoin hater, who has nothing better to do at this time than think of insults to throw at Bitcoin. And as usual, Mr. Schiff said a lot of outrageous statements about Bitcoin and a lot of ridiculous implications. But the biggest one, he said, is how he kept insisting that Bitcoin was going to end this year lower than it began, even though so far this year it's like the best performing asset, better than real estate, oil, and Mr. Schiff's gold. And still, Mr. Schiff was insisting that it was going to end the year lower than it began. So that got me to thinking, I know Bitcoin hasn't had too many years where it didn't grow and didn't end the year better than it began. So I actually looked up this chart, which is the yearly candle chart. And as you can see, Bitcoin has only had 2 down years. And both of those years ended the year higher than the previous year began. And I was looking at these numbers for where Bitcoin opened and closed at during the last decade. And I noticed something very interesting, which makes Peter Schiff's accusation even more ridiculous. So in 2017, you can see here that Bitcoin closed out the year at $13,863. And during the last 10 years, and I'm pretty sure during its history, I just don't have information before 2011, but at least during the last 10 years, Bitcoin has never, I'm sure this is true for its whole history, I'm positive, but Bitcoin has never closed a year lower than it closed a year at 3 years earlier. Never. Has never happened. 3 years ago, we closed at $13,863. And actually, usually the 3-year gain is more than double. Now let's take a look at them one by one. So in 2011, we closed out the year at $4.58. Wow, would I have loved to have gotten into Bitcoin back then? And 3 years later, in 2014, closed out that year at $321. And that gives us a 3-year percentage gain of about 7,000%, or about 70x. And then in 2012, we closed out the year at $13.24. 3 years later, closed out the year at $430 in 2015, which is a 3-year percentage gain of 3,200%. Next year, 2013, we closed out the year at $732. And 3 years later, closed out the year at $966, which is a 3-year gain of 30%. And then in 2014, closed out the year at $321. 3 years later, in 2017, ready? Closed out that year at $13,863, which is a 3-year gain of 4,300%. Next year, 2015, not quite as good. Closed out the year at $430. And 3 years later, 2018, closed out the year at almost $3,700 for an increase, I believe, about 700%. And then in 2016, closed out the year at $966. 3 years later, in 2019, closed out the year at almost $3,900, which is about a 300% increase. So if its entire history, if you bought Bitcoin on December 31st and held it for 3 years, the least you would have gained was 30%. That's amazing. Usually the gains were like over 1,000%. Like that was the worst 3-year percentage gain, 30%. The second worst was from 2016 to 2019, which was 300%. So I don't know how Peter Schiff can possibly say he thinks we're going to end the year lower than we began. If we do that, it's going to be the first time in history that we ended a year lower than when we ended it 3 years earlier. And as I said, 3 years ago, 2017, we ended the year at $13,863. So if we were to just do like the same as the worst previous 3-year percentage gain, that would be an increase of 30%, which would put us at about $18,000. And another thing you should consider is when Bitcoin had that worst 3-year percentage gain in 2016, in 2017, the price went up almost 2,000%. So, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, Bitcoin, I could possibly end the year lower than began. I would say the odds of that are probably less than 1%. After looking at all this, I would say the odds of it ending at even less than $10,000, which would be higher than we began, is probably less than 5%. But let's say we end the year at like $15,000, about $3,000 higher than where we are right now. That would be the worst 3-year percentage gain in history. And remember, the last time we had the worst 3-year percentage gain, the next year, Bitcoin skyrocketed like crazy, went up almost 2,000%. So let's say we end the year at $15,000. Next year, we should expect the price to go absolutely crazy. Again, 2017 was the year after the halving. 2021 will be a year after another halving. But let's say it just does half of that. It ends at 15,000 and only goes up 1,000%. That would give us a $165,000 Bitcoin. And let's say it drops by 25% by the end of the year. That would still leave us at about $120,000. So, not financial advice, but just something to consider. And me personally, I've been saying for years, I always believed we were going to have a bear market and then start to rebound in 2020 and then go crazy in 2021. But I think it was maybe late last year, I started coming up with the idea that Bitcoin would probably get back to its previous all-time high of 20,000, probably in November or December of this year. So that's where I personally think we're probably going to end the year. I could be completely wrong. You never know. But that's what I think. And yeah, these numbers are crazy. Bitcoin is obviously on an upward trend. And what's even more amazing is in the yearly lows, there's only been one time when Bitcoin had a lower low than the year before. That was 2015, had a low of $152 compared to 2014 at $275. So every other year, it's been a higher low. But I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just a guy on YouTube. Just thought I'd present this to you, let you think about it, and please leave a comment. Thanks for stopping by. Zaijian.